people not only have to be re-educated to the importance of supporting black business, but the black man himself has to be made aware of the importance of going into business. And once you and I go into business, we own and operate at least the businesses in our community. What we will be doing is developing a situation wherein we will actually be able to create employment for the people in the community. And once you can create some employment in the community where you live, it will eliminate the necessity of you and me having to act ignorantly and disgracefully, boycotting and picketing someplace else, trying to beg him for a job.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Federation of African Canadian Economics. FACE is an historical movement co-founded by Black Canadian visionaries empowering generational wealth creation while fostering Black change makers. If you are Black entrepreneurs or know one that could use an affordable loan of up to $250,000, this is the movement for you. I would like to welcome all our listeners to TOC Podcast. TOC stands for the Other Canada Podcast, the show that is anchored in the undeniable fact that Canada's historical and current lens is homogenous at best and filled with gaps that we aim to bridge. The space where we courageously explore BIPOC voices like you've never heard them before. At TOC Podcast, we pride ourselves in presenting to you Black, Brown, Indigenous, and non-BIPOC individuals that have decided to move from allies to accomplices. Yes, today's episode is all about cannabis. Cannabis, ladies and gentlemen, Black cannabis at that. We're going to be talking and navigating the do's and don'ts of starting in that industry. We're going to be talking about social equity and justice pertaining to this. We're going to talk about the importance of land ownership and the importance of food sovereignty, but also agricultural sovereignty. I'm your host, Thierry Lindor. Some of you might know me as an entrepreneur, active citizen, but that pales into comparison when I have to my left, Queen Ashley, and to my right, King Michael. They are both the co-founders of Harvester. To my left, I actually have, well, for those of you not looking, right? I have Ashley, who's actually the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Harvester. And to my right, I got Michael, King Michael, who's actually the CEO, Chief Operating Officer at Harvester. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest that you pull over if you're driving and you pump up that volume. If you're lifting weights, drop them weights, you're gonna get hurt. And if you're at work, act like you're working. Look at that person that's your boss and act like you're working. And pump up that volume. We're disturbing the status quo in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey-o!
Africa wasn't afforded some of the same services.
Rosie, a Sir George graduate on a master's in McGill, helps organize a computer-centered city.
I can announce that the Government of Canada, in partnership with Canadian banks, is investing nearly $221 million to launch Canada's first ever Black entrepreneurship program.
Ashley and Michael, how y'all doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hey,
Absolutely.
thank y'all for being there. You guys are actually family. You guys brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Siblings, yeah,
Siblings.
absolutely. Sibling team.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Who said family businesses can't be functioning and thriving? Listen, we're going to dive into this. This is going to be a kind of two-part, but we're going to take a little break eventually. We're going to be bringing in our CEO at FACE, at the Federation, Tiffany Callender, who will join us. She had a lot of interesting questions she wanted to ask y'all. But before we do this, we start every show with 6 questions, 60 seconds. Are y'all down for this?
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. We'll start with the queens in the house, right? So, first and foremost, first question. What has this pandemic taught you, Ashley?
This pandemic has taught me to dispel my ego.
Okay.
And I realized that every single individual on this earth is but a speck of dust.
Stardust, literally.
And I know that sounds very odd.
It's facts.
But all of these things that are happening with regards to COVID and how it's impacting us has really kind of brought a point of view that we are, I don't want to say not as important as we first thought we were, but we just don't have as much control as we thought that we did.
100%.
So that is absolutely the biggest lesson that I've learned, and as well to just humble myself.
Humanity is egotistical at best. I agree with
Exactly.
you. What about you, Michael?
Well, I think it's a matter of self-reflection, and I kind of go along the same lines as what Ashley's saying, just understanding our place of where we are and what we can do to kind of help others in that same minuscule area that we may occupy, right? So it's like, what am I doing right now to be helping somebody else, right? Because I've seen so many people that are struggling through this pandemic and figuring out what can they do to help other people. So I need to do the same thing, because if we're all lending a hand to other people, I think we're all better for it.
That's it. Humanity wins. I agree with this. That's excellent. Awesome. Ashley, Malcolm X or MLK?
MLK.
MLK?
Definitely.
Since we do it for all the queens, you could answer as well, Michael, if you want.
I want to say Angela Davis.
Right? You've been watching the show, but the audience don't. Angela Davis and Maya Angelou.
I love Maya Angelou. I just have a connection
100%.
with Angela Davis.
All right. What about you, Michael?
I'm gonna say MLK as well, but it's very close. I love both philosophies, and if we're going with the female side of things, Maya Angelou, I think, is something like, I actually am about to get one of her poems written on my arms.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at you with that end game on. Bleak, salty or sweet, Ashley?
Sweet.
Michael?
Sweet,
all right,
for sure.
Look at you, brothers and sisters. Rap or hip hop, Ash?
Hip hop 1000%.
Michael?
It's not even a question. Hip hop all day long.
All day long?
I'm
we're
ahead.
brother and sister.
What is your cultural background? Maybe, not one-sided question. Both of y'all, what's your cultural background?
So we're both Jamaican and Antiguan.
Okay.
We were both born here, but we were put to child labor at a very early age.
Wait. We can't just roll over the
And
sword
then-
without expanding.
We were put to child labor at a very early age.
Touch on that, please.
In an agricultural sector. So this
Absolutely.
probably communicates to why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Got you.
Absolutely.
So you come from a farming family? Okay, we'll get that after, because I'm spiking a bunch of questions now.
Yeah, no problem.
Quiet. All right, so 9 to 5 entrepreneurship, that's an easy one, I guess.
Been there, done that with the 9 to 5.
Facts.
And there's a reason why I'm sitting in this chair here today.
You too as well?
1000%.
Okay. How long were y'all both in 9 to 5 without saying the company?
20 plus years.
Holy smoke.
Yeah,
Ash?
about 17 years.
Sorry, I keep calling you Ash.
No,
Mine,
this is
one of my best
absolutely.
friends named Ash.
Yeah,
Like
no worries.
Ash all day.
That's
I
what
love it.
That's what I call her.
Awesome,
So.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it fits the harvest. Single or in a couple, Ashley?
I'm single.
Oh, okay, that's why I should go change after that. Michael,
Happily married, 2 kids. Love you, babe.
married for how long?
11 years.
Jeez, look at you winning.
Yeah.
Awesome. Kids or no kids?
No kids for me, but I'm a very proud and happy auntie.
Amazing.
2
Two
girls,
kids, you just
10
said
and
it.
6.
Awesome. Last question, but not least. I'm going to focus on Ash first, and then I'll come to you,
Absolutely,
Michael, all right?
absolutely.
What is the best part about... No, so start challenging. What is the most challenging part about being a black woman in 2021?
Now, let's just address the elephant in the room. Obviously, I have a lot less challenges than some black women out there, just based on my skin tone.
Very well said.
But one of the challenges that I find is I can not look past, but I kind of dismiss the microaggressions. It's when individuals really get out of pocket is where I find it most difficult, and that tends to happen in corporate environments a lot to me.
Would you mind sharing? Because we were about that inclusion, and also I think people analogies or examples, something that you might have went through without, once again, not too detailed, but something you might have
I
learned.
don't mind getting detailed. Well, put it this way. I was unfortunately in a meeting environment where our senior VP was trying to motivate the group because I was in a sales position.
Okay.
Executive sales position, and he, I guess, had a wrong frame of mind when he was trying to motivate us, and he was actually trying to motivate us through the words of MLK, actually.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Okay.
Was the person talking of European descent?
Yeah.
Caucasian?
Yeah.
Please
And
go. Please
essentially,
keep going. This is gonna be gold.
And essentially, he was saying, you have to grasp your customers' attention like MLK in his speeches. And he went through this whole thing, and I'm sitting there watching, like, what is next? And he had a screen on a TV, and he's like, well, if you don't capture their attention, this could potentially happen. He clicks the video, and you have somebody hanging from a tree.
You're lying.
I'm one.
A black person hanging from a tree?
Lynching.
I stood up,
What?
I took a pic, and I walked right out.
And that is how we start. No, I'm joking.
Well,
Are
pretty
you
much.
serious?
Like,
This is a true
one-
story?
Absolutely.
100%.
What kind of maniac is this person? That has to be, not even, I'm not excusing, but has to be pre-2020 BLM.
BLM,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. But regardless of the fact.
No. That's
Regardless
exactly.
of
I
the
set the
fact.
stage. Like I'm saying, like obviously it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, he really thought this was gonna motivate who?
Absolutely.
Who was gonna be motivated?
Well, either way.
What?
I expressed my concern.
For sure.
And I expressed my concern legally.
And you're like deuces.
And I said, later.
Good for you.
And then I'm
Queen. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Were you the only black person in the room?
Actually, I was one of 2 people.
And nobody else said nothing
And-
besides you? See, that's what's up.
Nobody.
That's why they're here.
Nobody said a thing, and I'm not judging anybody else who's in the room. That's how they do it. But I chose just to stand up and walk right
See,
out.
she said, did she say MLK or Malcolm X? Man, go back and listen. Watch
Remember
what she
that.
said.
Remember that. There's reasons behind that,
exactly.
Mike.
What is the best part about being a black woman in 2021?
You know what? Just seeing the beauty of all of these black women that are now kind of rising, finding themselves,
It is amazing.
and as well the fact that people are listening now.
Paying
People
attention.
are listening. They're paying attention.
Oh yeah.
So let's continue talking,
Keep your
continue
f-
building, continue being yourself and expressing yourself fully.
Yeah. And keep that foot on their neck. That's what I say. All right. Keep the foot on their neck. Keep the pedal to the metal. Michael, what about you? What is the most challenging part about being a black man in 2021? I'm still shocked by your story. Sorry.
Sorry, it's just yeah.
No,
these are things
I
that
would have
happen.
thrown the person
I
outside.
remember the
21st.
day that happened, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And
You didn't believe it either. You're like, there's no way.
I
you
know
did
she's
that.
not going to come to me with foolishness. So I knew, and her emotional state was absolutely
Appropriate
justified
exactly.
for what was happening. So
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't a situation of like, oh, maybe this happened. No, this actually happened. She had to kind of work through the steps to get through that in a
Bravo.
way that
Your friends
she
would
could
say
kind of like
bravo.
understand it.
Yeah.
Because if that's happening to you as an individual, that's traumatic.
100%
Right?
trauma.
So how do you deal with that? And I think she used that passion and that energy that she received from experiencing something like that into and push it forward into something that we're doing here today.
Amazing.
Right. So and again, I don't want to jump
No,
the
no,
gun,
no,
but
no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's something that I think was a definite traumatic experience that could be turned into a positive.
That's it.
And to me,
Facts.
that is
Exactly
where
it.
we're at with
You're
that.
controlling your
You know,
destiny.
and just to speak on that a little bit more,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that
No, we'll go back to your question. That's fine.
But from a black female perspective, I think that black females are the pillars of our society.
Period.
Where people don't even realize that, and they're supremely underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do we look at them and elevate our female leaders and just our females in general? Right. Just figuring out exactly how we do that. And to me, that is so important going forward in anything we do as a society.
Period. And so answer that question for you as a black man. What's the most challenging part about being a black man in 2021 for you? As
For
a black
me,
man?
my experience is I've climbed the corporate ladder. Like, you know, I've been in that cushy position where I was getting lunches every single day, paid for by the company,
Golf,
et cetera, right?
expenses,
All that
whatever.
stuff. But I was always looked at as being less than. That might have been from my perspective, but I didn't feel that my opinions were given the same amount of credence as somebody else's.
They weren't validated as much.
Exactly. They weren't validated. They weren't looked at with the same kind of like enthusiasm
Been
or
there.
whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's something that I looked at as is it just because they don't see me as being smart enough? Is it my personality? Maybe I don't chime up enough or speak up enough, whatever it may be. But to me, that I equated all that back to being what I am, which is a black man. Right, so that's kind of like where I looked at it from that point.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah, man.
I really
Yeah,
feel you.
absolutely.
I've been there. So, what is the best part about being a black man in 2021?
Our strengths. I mean, look at so many individuals who are pushing and thriving within, for example, COVID. We've turned our situations around through the experience of other people's tragedies, unfortunately. But we're looking at like now an uprising of strength and an uprising of smarts that allow us to get to the next level.
Facts.
Right? So how do we look at that and say, okay, you know what, let's not just have like one or two black people or black men in this situation of a question. come about, but let's rise everybody up.
Exactly.
Right? And
exactly.
I think that our strength as unity, as black men, can bring everybody up along with our black females as well. Right?
Yeah. And to your point, I think the most challenging part to me, I always like to say it's being underestimated, and the best part is being underestimated.
Oh, for sure.
I've
100%.
destroyed so many, white men skating through life by just. We do not have we cannot afford. We don't have the privilege of mediocrity.
Right.
Anytime I sit down with black folks such as y'all, whether it's entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, I know they're excellent.
Listen, man.
They are excellent, and I don't like the word black excellence, but I know that they are excellent, regardless. Because if they are where they are, and we're meeting here on the 21st floor, talking about what we're talking, y'all don't have the luxury of mediocrity. A lot of people have the luxury of mediocrity.
Oh yeah.
Let me explain one thing to you that our father said to us from the very beginning. He's like, no matter what you do, you have to work twice as hard as the next individual who's trying to get it.
Yeah. That's problematic,
I
because
think
that means you get twice as less.
No, but not necessarily.
For working twice as hard too.
But twice as smart as well.
There you go.
Right?
That's
what I'm saying. So it's like it's the
part.
effort combined with the excellence. Right?
Woo.
And then put it together, you have a nice sandwich. Right? And then from there, you're yamming.
Or put it together and you got Harvester.
There you
Which
go.
brings me to my next one.
All right,
Let's
there
go.
you
Let's
go.
dive into this. How did Harvester start?
Oh,
you
wow.
guys are
You got time?
literally we talked off here. We said we had like, we wanted to take a lot of time. We're gonna have to fly you out to a couple of spots in Canada.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cost me a spade. But when we started Face, we definitely talked about food sovereignty and talked about injustice and cannabis, jailing black and brown people. And now suddenly the same people, aka GRC, how do you say it? RCMP? Ex-RCMP people getting into that space, making money.
yeah.
I have a whole problem with all of this. So how did Harvester start? Two black people, I don't know any that are in your space. Not in Quebec. I'm from Quebec. I've never heard of anybody at the level that you guys are. How did y'all start?
Ash, you take it away, and I'll chime in as we go.
Well, I am very proud to say I am a corporate stoner. Simply because when I was working in
awesome.
corporate, I was one of those. No, this is facts.
I need a t-shirt that says corporate stoner.
Facts.
I will rock this.
Trademarked, by the way.
Trademark.
I will rock this.
No, honestly though, because our parents instilled a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And yes, agriculture was a part of that. We were always somewhat connected to the earth.
Yeah.
And we enjoy growing our own food. We enjoy growing our own medicine as well. And so, just to be honest, I was one of those guerrilla growers. I would be going into the forests with jugs of water, and I would be feeding my plants.
Break down guerrilla growers for people that don't know what you're talking about.
So
Quickly.
pre-legalization, guerrilla growers would be in those areas where there are greenery areas where you can go hiking and stuff, and they essentially go into the woods, they clear it out, they put their seeds in, and they grow massive plants. So
That's
that
a form of resistance right there, ladies.
yeah, so I'd be coming from work with my high heels on, and then put on my big boots, and then walking with my distilled water and pouring it into the thing. It was for real. So that's where it started, and once I saw that there was a temperature for legalization, because I heard about the first.
It was brewing.
Yeah, it was brewing. Nobody was talking
What
about it,
year
but it
are
was
we?
something. 2011, 2012. That's how early it was.
And actually tapped me on my shoulder when we saw the report on CP24.
Yeah, CBC. And I was like, yo, watch this.
Or whatever it was. And then she was like, this is happening.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, sure.
Whatever.
That's literally what he said. And when I heard that there was something going on here, I was like, okay, work, I see you, but I'm going in this direction right now. And I knew it. So what I decided to do is start building my network. I started going to networking events that I really had no place being in.
Such as, for anybody listening right now, taking notes.
So for example, a great company, AAPS, they had an event where they were talking about how to build cannabis facilities.
Amazing.
And I have to be honest, I was with Caucasian men who had really heavy watches, probably really heavy wallets, and
absolutely.
they looked at me like, what are you doing here? And I was just like, it doesn't even matter, because I'm going to get this information.
Yeah.
And from there, I just started building my network. I started understanding the plant that much more, so I could really kind of grasp where I was going. Of course, I'm utilizing the plant, right? And I don't know if you know this, but in Toronto, the mecca of cannabis is Kensington Market.
Is it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You got to go over there.
Oh, yeah.
Draw. Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah. So I would be at Kensington Market all the time, and the owner of Kensington Market, her name's Abby Roach.
Not Kensington Market, the owner of
Hotbox, excuse me.
Yeah.
Abby Roach, she's like, Ash, I know you grow. And I'm just like, yeah, hold it down. And she's like, yo, do you want to start grow school? And I'm like, what? She's like, Ashley, legalization's coming, and they're going to allow 4 plants per household. Let's start grow school. And so I was like,
What's growth school?
Grow school is essentially teaching individuals how to grow their own cannabis.
God, that's awesome. Okay, I'm passionate about this, and I'm asking a question. Even if I know, I want the people to know.
Oh,
They don't know
absolutely.
so grow school is an entity that teaches people how to grow.
How to grow their
So
own
she started
cannabis.
The first.
I was the
Chapter.
first grow
First
school
one.
teacher.
Yeah.
And essentially, I went back for a week and I put together a curriculum. And while I was working this curriculum, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, Ashley, you're going to basically tell people that you're growing weed.
Awesome.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Oh, you started panicking.
I was
You
panicking.
had like reality hitting.
Reality hit, because what if,
This one says
police
this.
call
Yeah,
this. And I'm just like, you know what? There's something behind me and it's pushing me to do it. So I'm just going to listen to it and I'm just going to move forward. So I started grow school. The first class, there were 6 people. I kid you not, over a 10-period week, it went up to 60 people a class.
Amazing.
Black, white,
Everybody.
Asian, South Asian, 18 to 75, disabled, mental health. It didn't
up.
matter. Everybody was coming in. And we also had this thing called afters where you can, burn a little something. But it was everybody. And then that's when I realized, oh my God, it's the plant that brings everybody together.
100%.
Right? So after that, it was moving. Grow school was happening. And then I decided to take that knowledge that I had from my corporate environment, and I built an arm of my business. At the time it was called Sensi, where I would actually support small, medium-sized enterprises, HR departments, and taught them about the policies that surrounded medical cannabis, because they were concerned about people not being treated properly in the workplace when it came to medical cannabis. 100%. It was like niche, boom. We got in there. I had 3 people on my team.
Are you there at that point, Michael?
Not yet.
I'm not there.
That's
I'm
cool,
kind
that's
of
cool.
watching on the sidelines,
That's
and
it.
I'm watching what she's doing from afar, but I'm dealing with my corporate side of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
We'll get
But
to that
he's
in a moment.
watching
You're in the
me.
system.
I'm watching.
You're inside the system.
Yeah, I'm watching.
He's
I'm watching. I'm
Make sure
supporting.
still
Yeah.
plugged.
Yeah,
And we're,
absolutely.
like, on top of just like helping those organizations on Hotbox, we're doing events in the community where we're talking to individuals about cannabis, how it helps you, but as well how you can build businesses and infrastructure within the cannabis space. And so all of those things combined really kind of drove my passion into, okay, what is next? Because I know at the end of the day, I want my farm.
Period.
I want my farm. And I was like, okay, I hit a benchmark or a mark where both grow school and
milestone?
a milestone where both grow school and the policy side of things I was like finished, and I said to myself, you know what, let's do this. I put together a PowerPoint and I presented it to my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your brother was the first person you pitched to.
It's the only one I trust.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
man.
So
literally, what happened at that point was I heard a ding dong on my door. I opened up the
Wasn't
door
even
and I was like,
expecting
"What are
me.
you doing here right
I was
now?
like in suit and tie, like ready
why
to
are you
go.
here, Ash?
Like, what's going on?"
I got a weed idea.
So she came and she's like, "I got to show you something," and she knew that it was not just about me. It's about the foundation of our community, which is our family, right? It's about myself and my wife, and she had to come and say, "Hey, this is what we need to do together. Let's figure this out.
like
How
that,
can we do
togetherness.
this? How can we do this?" So she came, put up the PowerPoint presentation, and I was like, "But you do realize that I have 2 kids, a mortgage. We're figuring all this stuff out." And then it hit me. If I don't do this, I'm going to really regret it. I am going to seriously regret it. I knew that I could always go back to the corporate life if anything happened.
I hope everybody's listening
Right?
to this.
I knew what I could go back at any time because my credentials spoke for themselves at that point. But I needed the challenge because I was becoming complacent in the 9 to 5, and that was just an internal focus or internal vision of myself. So what I did was I said, you know what? Ashley, give me a day to think about this. Speak it over with my wife. We did that. I called Ashley back within like the next like couple hours, and I said, let's do this. Just because I was like, you know what? It was I knew the moment that I closed the door that it was something that it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of like gradually getting to the point where I was comfortable enough to make the exit from the corporate world.
Yeah.
And that happened over a short span of time, but it was preparation, knowing what was coming up financially, you know what I mean, what was the risk that was involved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just making sure that was that. And then from there, Ashley and I just put our heads together and we just built this beast called Harvester, right? And it was about finding the location, getting the permits.
We'll go get into that. Whoa, come on, King. You can't be taking this too fast. This is a slow-mo Netflix flicks we're watching right now.
All right, sounds good.
So he says yes. Quick question. I just had a brain fart. If you would have said no, you'd still done it.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
You look like that kind of aura.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I was literally I was catching the ride onto the train of Harvester because I knew that Ashley was already
gonna do it.
And I knew that there was ambition and drive behind it. It wasn't just literally a thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like let's do this together. And I knew that she was serious when she came with a PowerPoint presentation.
Amazing. So she comes with PowerPoint. You jump on. What is next day and next, like, is the name already set? You don't have the name yet? Nothing. Okay, so we start building the brand. That's why we needed more time. So you guys build the brand, so on. So walk us through, because he quits his job. You guys both started this full time, correct me if I'm wrong? Or you started part time, bootstrapping?
No. Once Growth, I was done.
That whole lynching, you're like, I'm out.
And it was for me. It was probably a matter of like a couple of months before I actually just went full. Yeah, I prepared and just made sure that everything was good to go.
So for anybody listening right now, what is the first step to financially secure yourself? Or would you mind sharing if you guys had a little cushion that you prepared? Did you start paying yourself, like how did you start this full time without having like an income? You said mortgage, 2 kids and so on and so forth. How did this work? You as well, Ashley, like what was the idea? How did you bootstrap this or make this happen? Or did you raise right away?
We did something that everybody will tell you never to do. So I do not want any of you to do this. Okay? Promise me. I sold my house.
Okay. I actually resonate with this because I've done this plenty of time.
You do? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see somebody that's still in the room right now shaking her head. I've done this a couple of times actually. And it's cost me a lot of, because I was in real estate for a long time. So I've sold a couple properties to start a couple stuff. But I'm here today because I sold these things. So you sell your house.
I'm not, I'm a risk taker. I had a vision. And I was like, you know what? I believe in it. I believe in it.
So you sell the property. That gives you a couple of thousands. A good cushion. Okay, good cushion. So good cushion. You're using that to start the brand, start this. Do you pay yourself a little tiny salary to live by, or you're not even there? Everything's going into business.
Very small salary, but 98% of it is going into the business.
So you really structured 98% of reinjection into the business. You made sure that you guys were both able to live.
Yeah.
How long does that bootstrap last you until, and first question maybe first, have you done a seed round, a love round? For those of you who don't know, seed round, love round is when you just go to family members, so on and so forth. Yeah. Have you done any of those?
We have done a family member round.
Okay.
And we were quite successful with that.
Amazing.
But other than beyond that, we've decided not to.
To keep it loveless.
Let's just keep it.
The equity as much
as
possible in our hands as possible. That way we maintain as much control as possible.
Okay, so beautiful. So love round, you guys are able to move forward. Now, the magic happens. And might as well go with our 5 tips. Because every episode, those 5 tips will tell you now that these tips go viral. Because people like it, they take every episode, the 5 tips works. YouTube loves that 5 tips. Yeah. So what are the 5 tips? And what are the 5 things you guys did to start a cannabis business in Canada as Black people?
I would say, let me just start with number 1, Ash. Understand the rules and regulations that you would have to adhere to when it comes to the cannabis industry. Yeah. This is a highly regulated industry.
By whom? I'm going to get these questions. Who regulates?
By the federal government and Health Canada regulate what we do, which is growing and processing and manufacturing the plant.
Rewind.
Okay.
Now you gotta say that last part.
Okay, so Health Canada
Yeah.
oversees the licensing for cultivation, processing, and manufacturing.
Thank you. So you guys, rules and regulations. Let's stop at this right now. Do you have all three of these things? Do you do all three of these
Yes,
things?
we do all three of them.
Amazing. This is awesome. What is tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is to be very aware that there will be an RCMP check
I like
during that process, and I have a story to tell.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dive into
yeah,
it.
man.
Okay, everybody, Michael and I are from Scarborough. Scarborough is known in Toronto as one of the low-income community spaces in Toronto, and it's very diverse. Every nationality goes to Scarborough to start their life off
Period.
in Toronto.
Period.
Period.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's where culture comes from.
Period. Also, period.
And that's where also slang comes from.
Period. Coolness, culture, whatever you call
Culture,
it.
everything. So Michael and I, we've been privy to individuals who are selling weed, selling
We all
all
have.
types of drugs on the road, and we grew up in Crip territory.
Yeah.
So being
Crip
in those
is blue.
Yes, Crip is blue. So being in those spaces, it wasn't like surprising to us like drugs and cannabis. But what I didn't realize is how much we actually took in with regards to the traumatic events that happened around us.
Yeah.
So gang violence, so on
Gang
and so
violence.
forth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, I didn't take into consideration some of the challenges, let's say, our uncles had previously, even when we were younger,
People
and
older
how
than
that
us.
also
So the
impacted us.
legal. Got you.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
They go that far? Okay, keep going. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is interesting.
no, I'm just saying the traumatic events.
Oh,
that-
the traumatic.
Traumatic
I thought
events.
you meant RCMP goals.
Oh, no,
all
no,
over
no,
that.
no, no, not
it's the
that.
individual.
But what we had to do as a part of the regulations is to actually go to a police headquarters
Yeah.
once we found our facility
Yeah.
and let them know that we're going to be growing cannabis in their backyard.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
from
you have
people,
to register.
we have we pretty much just have to let them know and say, hey, by the way, we're
I'm
over
weed.
here, and unfortunately, there's
growing
nothing that
weed.
you can do about it. Right? Long story short, I think
Michael
just because of our traumatic experiences growing up,
Yeah.
and in that kind of environment, walking into those doors with the agenda
Got
that we had was one of those things
It
where
was
we were
literally a
sweating
bead
bullets.
of
Mine
sweat.
Yeah, like, yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Nick, you could cut it. It was mine. So you'll bleep that out. So walking into the cop and saying, got you. That makes a lot more
Yeah, man.
sense. Okay, tip number 3.
I'd say tip number 3 would be understand the costs that are associated with exactly what it is you're going to be doing within the cannabis industry. Yes, you can grow, which is cultivate. You can have a processing license. You can have a retail store. But understand upfront what every single one of those costs would be going forward. And that can be said for any industry, but I know within the cannabis industry,
Correct.
there is a huge cost.
It's a newer industry, so a lot of people, and it was illicit for so long, a lot of people have no clue
Exactly.
and might jump into this not knowing. Can you touch on the 3 different licenses? Because I could hear people say, well, they're talking about too fast and the tips
Yeah,
are coming in. And
absolutely.
So you touched on,
So there's a cultivation license.
correct?
There is a processing license.
Touch on process. I think cultivating, everybody pretty much gets it.
Right.
You're growing
You're
weed,
growing.
fine. Touch on process.
So processing is essentially a license which allows you to build products from the plants that either you're bringing in or you're growing yourself. So that would include topicals, edibles,
oils,
edibles.
That's pretty
Aesthetics, does that include
suppositories,
creams and all that
creams,
stuff?
anything.
anything that
Suppositories,
you want to
Oh,
suppositories.
absolutely,
create,
man. Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously you get a sales license and you can sell it, but the processing license is very I would say interactive, and it gives you a lot more freedom of what you can and can't do.
So, let's say you guys are growing.
Yep.
I'm processing. I buy from the growers, and then I have the machinery and automation and process to process
Correct.
into whatever. The last license.
The last license is optional.
It's
Is a
retail.
sales license.
Sales license.
So you're
Which-
retail. You're the front.
Not
you're-
exactly.
Okay,
That's not exactly.
okay,
That's
sorry.
actually
Shut
different.
my mouth.
The sales license actually allows you to get to market.
Got you.
So that means we can go to the OCS.
Got you.
Onto a
Um,
cannabis store or the one that's in Quebec.
In Quebec, what is it called?
SQDC.
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of them. We need some partners. Come on.
I
now.
know, right?
So wait. So point number 3 is license number 3 is you said?
Sales license.
Sales license.
Sales license.
And you mentioned the retail license.
Correct.
Exactly.
So the retail...
Those are different.
It's
There's a
different
difference.
because Health
Okay.
Canada oversees the manufacturing side of things.
Yeah.
Cultivation, processing,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
The AGCO
Got you.
oversees retail.
The sales and the retail portion.
Exactly.
Got you.
Exactly.
And that's the last license.
Yes.
Well, it depends on where you want to be within the ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you want to be a retailer, you don't need to have all the manufacturing stuff.
No,
you can
not
just
at all.
you can just
You
be a
can be a
retailer.
retailer.
Gotcha.
But if you just want to be a processor, and you can process your stuff, and then you can have your sales license if you want to go direct to market, or you sell to somebody else. There's different ways to be within that system,
Gotcha.
and that's why we love to see more people that look like us
And we-
in there, because a lot of people just think it's either sales or it's either
They don't even
cultivation.
know. I
But
didn't
there's
know.
so much more to
More
it.
to it.
And
I,
that's
I want that to be the next point. Actually.
Point number
Exactly.
4. I
Point
like
number
that.
4 is that you're not restricted to cultivation processing in retail. There is an abundance of opportunities in this space that are non-plant touching. So I'm just gonna tap on a couple of them that might ring
ahead.
a bell for
That's
some people.
exactly it.
There are a lot of people in our community who are professionals, doctors, lawyers,
Super facts.
right, accountants. These are all professionals that could work within the cannabis space because there's selective information that is...
Such as?
So, for example, if you're a lawyer, there are lawyers out there that focus on cannabis
Specialize-
law.
That's facts.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, on top of it,
Accounting.
Accounting.
Cannabis, fiscal, and yeah.
all of
got
these
you, got
businesses
you.
need it.
Okay,
So these
okay.
transferable skills are absolutely usable in the space. On top of it, I also want to look at the travel industry. I understand that COVID has really kind of put a stop on the travel industry. But for example, before COVID started, there was a rise of Bud B&Bs in Niagara Falls that were being built out.
absolutely.
So
What's Bud
businesses
B&Bs?
like
'Cause
that.
This is cross-Canadian.
So
people in Quebec
Bud B-
or
so
Nova Scotia-
Airbnb,
Yeah.
but just with cannabis involved within it, right?
So yeah.
right?
Also, I never.
Yeah.
That's a
But that's
that's
the
a
thing.
thing.
People want to relax and have their cannabis with them, and they want to smoke in their rooms or they want to consume in their rooms. It's a great option.
Is that a digital platform?
No, so pretty much
It's a concept. It's a concept.
Well, no, it's an actual, for example, hotel. And people, especially in the
Like
states
a
that don't
B&B.
have, that will cross the border
Yeah.
and come into Niagara Falls because it's right on the border. It's a border town.
Yeah, it's a border town.
People from the states come through.
You don't want people to say smell like cannabis and then not. This is made for this.
This
This
is
is what
made
it's
for
made
you
for.
to
Got
go
you.
into.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
And there's retreats, there's
Got you.
tourism, there's
Tourism.
whatever.
Thank
it
you
is.
for educating.
There's even therapists that utilize cannabis
Of course,
for their
yeah.
So there are an array, and I don't want to disregard hemp. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants out there. I'm gonna give an example that Michael and I love is hempcrete. So hempcrete is
Concrete to
something
build
that
homes.
can
There
be
you go.
exactly to build homes.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about trades, why are we not looking at sustainable options like hempcrete that people can utilize, which is also fire retardant and it's an
Correct.
insulator.
Yeah, yeah. So when you're building your home using instead of concrete, you would
Yeah.
use hempcrete. And hemp, correct me if I'm wrong, is the byproduct of
No, it's the I guess you said the sister,
Yeah.
The
a
sister-
sister plant
okay,
to cannabis,
to cannabis.
but it has 0.3% THC versus Harvester's cannabis, which is like 28%.
Hey, clap back, clap back. Okay,
Gangster.
so super gangster. Point number 5 would be, you said point number 4, Ashley said, you're not restricted to I love that point. To cultivation, processing, and retail. There's so much more to that. I love this. So point number 5 would be,
Transferring your existing knowledge and putting it within the cannabis industry, I think would be
One
number 5 for us.
amazing. So let's, go ahead, Ashley.
Can I say a point number 6 that everybody should know, especially in Canada? We have restricted advertising.
Absolutely.
So we're not the U.S. where we can tell everybody about our body and whatnot. It's very much like the LCBO. And what about in Quebec? What's
Oh,
the
yeah,
LCBO?
hell yeah.
Same thing. So
SQDC in Quebec.
this is why you don't see a lot of advertising surrounding cannabis. That's also why you don't see a lot of information surrounding cannabis and the medical benefits. We don't have the ability to speak to that. So
And you know what's,
Done, man.
I think I like, so point number 6 is you said restriction advertising.
Yeah.
And you know what my opinion is on this? I think it's actually part of the systemic rates, like systemic barriers to entry, and that would be my next. Actually, let's jump right into this.
Yeah,
You know what? Point number 1, let's recap. Understand the rules and regulation of highly regulated industry. Point number 2, there will be an RCMP check on your butt. Point number 3, understand the costs associated with the cannabis industry. Point number 4, you are not restricted to cultivation, processing, and retail. You're not restricted to CPR, baby.
Yeah.
All right? Point number 5. Transferable existing knowledge into the industry is actually not just a thing, it's encouraged.
Absolutely.
Doctor, a lawyer, fiscal lawyer in cannabis, doctor in cannabis, so on and so
Electrician,
forth.
HVAC, you name
That's
it.
it.
Anything.
That's it, right? And point number 6, there are restrictions in terms of advertising into the cannabis industry. That's a great point.
Bonus point.
Bonus point indeed. Let's jump right into the next segment. Let's segue into
do it.
The floor is yours. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to listen to you.
Okay, what would that be?
Oh.
What's the next segment?
Sorry. So once you are in terms of restriction, I thought I had made the point. This is gonna be great bloopers on the on the actual fact of, in my opinion, systemic racism is permeating Canada.
Oh, absolutely.
They claim to be we claim to be very inclusive and so on and so forth, and we have a premier that really tries hard. I do believe he tries hard, but even in trying to legalize such a thing as cannabis, think about this. A recent industry is still filled with systemic gaps. Yeah. So for example, I come from a real estate background as well as finance background, economics background. To be a qualified investor in Quebec, I'm not sure about here, but in Quebec, to be a registered investor, so meaning you could finance startups, you have to have a net worth of $1 million or declare $250,000 a year. Meaning, if I want to invest in investor, tomorrow our investor comes and says, hey, I want to open in Quebec, and Terry, you look like a good investor, I would have to get cleared by the markets in Quebec as somebody that has a net worth of $1 million or makes $250,000 a year. How many black folks do we know can qualify for this, right? And same thing with the cannabis industry. My understanding is there to be in the cultivation space, you have to have a certain amount of acreage and so on and so forth. Am I wrong with this?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I think what it comes down to, there's 2 different licenses when it comes to cultivation.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Yep.
So I'm totally wrong on the acreage, but now tell me, what are the systemic barriers to entry for black folks, in your opinion, into the cannabis industry?
My opinion is the finances to get your operation started.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Number 1.
The kickstarting cost.
Bottom line.
Okay, that's
The
it?
overhead cost is,
Ridiculous.
I'm not going to say astronomical because there's different levels to it, but it's to a point where I would say 70% of our community would not have the ability.
Qualify.
No.
Roughly how much to start a beautiful business like Harvester?
$250,000.
Roughly. $250K minimum.
$250K.
So there you go.
And you have to be very resourceful.
Extremely resourceful.
Extremely resourceful.
You got
no consultants,
expand.
no nothing.
Yeah. So a lot of the times when you're coming
because the
into
minute you go into, got you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say
Sorry,
the minute that you try and come into this industry, you're gonna see a lot of people who are trying to kind of like get at you for consulting because you may not know how to write your SOPs, you may not know how to build your rooms, you may not
know about your testing.
We don't let anybody do acronyms here. SOPs.
Standard operating procedures.
Thank you. In the cannabis industry, applied standard operating procedures. What do you mean by that?
So literally, it's your Bible of how you have an operation or how you operate your facility.
Correct.
Right?
Because as we know, if you don't have that Bible, you ain't getting nowhere.
Exactly.
Especially with Health Canada. Absolutely not.
Beautiful. Thank you. Sorry, because I know somebody's like, what is he talking about? SOP. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, barrier, startup cost.
Yes, absolutely.
What about the activists that argued that the criminal record, the historical oppression, the criminal eye of our country on black and brown entrepreneurs? That would you say that this is also a systemic barrier?
At face value, absolutely.
110%.
Absolutely.
Explore what you mean by at face value. 110%.
So we would assume that if one would have to go to the RCMP to get clearances, that you can't have anything on your record, and that's what we knew when we started. That's
exactly what we had
That's
thought.
exactly what we thought.
That was the urban legend that you thought was true.
Fast forward about a year and a half.
This is gold. Take notes.
And we found out directly from Health Canada that you are allowed to have a small possession charge on your record and you would still be accepted. Mm-hmm. That's huge. This needs to and share it with all your friends because people need to know this. The rewind is that you can have
She's
a small.
running the show now.
Sorry. sorry.
The rewind, that was a gem. Go ahead.
You can have a small possession charge on your record and you would still get approved for either cultivation, processing, and potentially retail, potentially.
Got you.
Yes.
That is awesome.
That's
huge.
And that's direct from the source.
Source,
That's not us saying
The uncle,
maybe,
the barbecue, the
this
cousin,
from
the
the
marriage.
source.
from the source,
Okay,
from
so
the licensing department of
This
Health
is
Canada.
amazing because I was under the impression that was a fact.
Of course.
100%.
Gossip left,
That's
gossip
true.
right, and it's always people that didn't do it.
We're in
our
the
own
industry,
Thank you.
and we didn't know this.
We didn't know that.
Right? So it's one of those things where communication is needed to get the correct message out to the people who want to be in this industry.
So how about that restriction on communication? Don't you think that the
Yes.
restriction on communication makes it that if I have high means, I could just hire a consultant that's going to take care of the whole thing for me from A to Z.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the means, I wish there would be more literature and communication information. So would you say that this is a definite potential systemic barrier?
So we have a story to tell.
I'm sorry. Jeez.
So
Okay.
pretty much, and Ashley, please chime in at any point here. But Ashley and I had this exact same thought process when we were going through the entire licensing process.
Yeah.
And we, as we were getting licensed, we found out through a report through Dr. Kwasi Bempe that there is 1% ownership within the cannabis industry for Black people. There's 1%. We are that 1%.
84% Caucasian
Right.
male.
Rewind.
Of all ownership within the cannabis industry, there is 1% Black ownership, and you're pretty much looking at that 1%. Which
Literally looking at that 1%.
Right.
Literally.
So there's, for cultivation and processing, there is, for cultivation now, there is only Ashley and myself,
Yep.
HRVSTR, as
There are
being the
processors.
brand in Canada for
Thank
the only 100% Black-owned, federally licensed cultivators in the country.
Not a poster and then it's all white owned and all that stuff there.
This is equity being kept in-house.
That's
This
it.
is everything being kept
Generational
right
wealth.
here. Generational wealth, and that's our goal.
And this is also bringing people in from our community to
Exactly.
work with us,
Exactly.
most importantly.
So literally our mandate, and I'm going to go back to your original question in 2
Yeah.
seconds. Our mandate was to always, when we get on, we bring up, right? And we make sure, so our electricians, our HVAC, our, who else? Actually?
Financial advisors.
you name it, are all people from our community
Tax
that can then turn
lady.
around and say, hey, you know what?
I've
I've worked in the
this.
cannabis industry, and now they can up their level of
Knowledge.
expertise and knowledge, and even their
Charge
income.
that much more.
Right? Because they've been there and they've done that.
That's it.
So we're just trying to build this infrastructure. And actually, I'll let you take it from there because I know that exactly this question
Yeah.
is something pertaining to our
Sorry, I
community.
gotta go back to what was the question?
In terms of systemic barriers.
Systemic barriers.
Okay, so we talked about the
I
finances.
said the story that I wanted to tell, which
Yeah,
was
you
regarding
had an analogy.
us speaking to Health Canada and the Health Canada initiative.
Oh, right. So the Health Canada initiative that I pitched to Health Canada back in February. Michael and I.
You reached out to them and you made a
They
pitch.
reached out to us.
They reached out to us
They
after
did?
they saw us on the national because of that report that Michael was talking about with Dr.
Kwasi Bempe, yeah.
Kwasi Bempe.
Who talked to him? Because you guys name dropping like this, they're going to say, who the hell is this guy?
He is a professor of sociology at University of Toronto.
And he wrote a paper on the diversity issues that the Canadian cannabis industry is having.
And their focus was on ownership. So, as I mentioned, there's like 84% Caucasian male
Facts.
and about 1% Black and 2% Indigenous. So, that being said,
That's insane.
That's insane, and like 1% Latinx as well. So, Health Canada reached out back to us, and they said, how can we build more diversity in the space? So we had a week, and so I was in the grow room. Picture all of these plants like surrounding me, and I was like, oh my God, I got it. Obviously, you guys know about this. I heard about the Black Entrepreneurship Program.
Gang,
and I was
gang.
like, hold on. What if we just took the licensing and put it into the Black Entrepreneurship Program? It's killing two birds with one stone. It's going to give them information. It's going to give them the training that they need. And it's going to give them the funding.
That's it.
So what are we doing here? So the next week, we spoke to Health Canada. And I got to be honest, I was a bit of a bull in a china shop. Like, I just went right
Boom.
for it. And they were kind of like, oh, this is interesting. And Michael and I were like, really? And they're like, yeah, we're going to take this back and we're going to do some consultations on it. Literally from February 2020, where we pitched, to July, they did consultations. During that time, I'm like, Michael, let's put our sneakers on and let's see who we can round up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, instead of going to the farms, because no offense, but the farms haven't really done anything for the last 3 years. Actually, I can't say that. Some of the farms have put money towards cannabis amnesty, and I just want to congratulate them for putting that money towards that. So let me take my words back.
Cannabis amnesty.
Cannabis
you gotta
amnesty.
talk to us like we're 5-year-olds.
Sorry. Cannabis Amnesty is an non-for-profit organization which is helping individuals clear their records.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But I really wanted to take it to that next level, and shout out to you guys. Next level, and actually go to the regulators. So the regulators are Health Canada.
Of course.
The regulators are the federal government.
Yeah.
The regulators are Ontario Cannabis Store.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah, exactly. And we were able to, in literally 3 weeks, get the Ontario Cannabis Store, the AGCO,
Amazing.
the federal government. When I say that, that's pretty broad, but the anti-racism department of the Heritage Department
Shout
of the
out to
federal
Peter
government.
Flego.
And shout out to Peter.
Who introduced us to?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiffany.
Who introduced us to
Peter,
Tiffany? You know, and everybody was like, this is a great idea. And so fast forward to July, Health Canada's like, yeah, we're going to do it.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, this is
Historical.
amazing. It's historical. It's
historical.
unreal. But the fact that across the nation, all Black people and people from the diaspora will have the opportunity to dive into a market, dive into an industry that they were obviously ostracized from.
Period.
They were pushed out. They were jailed, and some of them even killed for.
I think we can't stop at jail. They were criminalized.
Criminalized.
Because you get over policed for it. You don't. Not
Absolutely.
everybody ends up jail, right?
Absolutely.
You get traumatized, so
It's-
criminalized. Sorry, Queen, I had to. step
No,
in.
please do.
Yeah.
And even killed for.
Thank you.
Let's take a pause on that because I know guys who were.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's in its infancy right now.
Yeah.
Things are still moving.
Yeah.
But this is something that could not even just impact our nation in Canada, but this could also impact America.
The world.
This can also impact Africa and Europe and many, many different places throughout the world, because this type of infrastructure has been asked for across the globe.
Yeah. Period.
And somehow
Yep.
it kind of ended up here.
Yep.
And we are dedicated to making this happen, to actually ensure that that licensing structure, to ensure that those support measures and those support mechanisms are there so individuals can take the steps that they need to get to where they need to be.
there. So this is like a cannabis incubator, the first Black cannabis incubator / accelerator,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
You guys are
absolutely.
in the process of ideation and expansion on this is historical. And you touched on this. I, for one, lost way too many friends to this industry, and for reasons that anyways we're not going to get into. But at the end of the day, I love what you touched on, the entire what BIPOC communities have been through
Absolutely.
because of this godly plant. Let's call it what it is.
Thank you.
And now that it is legalized, this divine green, it would not be equitable or justice for us to be left out while billions of dollars, let's call it what it is, billions of dollars. And I'll tell you what, my friend, and I always say this, and we laugh about it with her sister, but he was killed for being a master grower.
Oh,
Does that make any sense what I just said?
that just
He-
hit me
He was-
because
and I'm not a cannabis expert, but can you guys break down what a master grower is and the salaries that master growers get today in this corporate cannabis industry?
so that hit me because I am a master grower.
Ashley, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in my facility now, but I was the one in the bush. You know what I'm saying?
Break down what a master grower
So
is.
a master grower is the one that an individual that oversees the crop in its entirety to ensure that there's no sickness, to ensure that it's organized and on time, and making sure that that final product is a quality product from beginning to seed to harvest to flower. So
They have the magic touch to grow cannabis.
Absolutely. And right now, master growers are getting probably around $150,000 to
At
$178,000 a year.
A year. Imagine a world where we live in, where
And that's low.
black and brown men, mainly in my surroundings, because
Yeah.
women also, well, look, master grower right there, where melanin-powered master growers that are in the wrong neighborhoods. You guys describe Scarborough.
Yeah.
In Quebec, the Scarborough of Quebec is Montreal North, Saint Michel, and RDP. Right? Those are our neighborhoods. Right? If you were master growing in these spaces, you were target.
Oh,
You were targeted by the bikers, by the mafia, and
Absolutely.
so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So I can speak to this in sense that it's personal for me. This, to me, is a green revolution, and what you're doing is the ultimate form of activism. It's the ultimate form of resistance. I applaud
No,
and
thank
tilt
you.
my hats off to you.
Appreciate
I really wish I had like 30, 40 minutes more, because this is like, we literally didn't get into everything I wanted to touch on.
Let's
but
do it.
we-
Let's do it
we-
again.
Yeah, I will definitely,
Absolutely,
and I think we're gonna prepare a workshop, like a full hour. I'm sure y'all got some PowerPoints on.
Oh,
it,
yeah. God, yeah.
Right, and I
Love.
love that you used to do it already. You
Yeah, I
said
used to
6
do-
one and then 60 the following thing. I think this would be one of the most popular class we do, and at the Federation, which is the main reason why we're able to have this sponsor, in the $291 million, one of our biggest pride would be that we don't just focus on home ownership, but land ownership. And in this land ownership,
Yes.
that we are able to see and duplicate your models and see. Shame on us if we don't. I always said, shame on me if my kids don't do better than me, right? Shame on y'all if your kids and your kids don't see 200 harvesters in the
Right.
next,
Right.
20 years or
That's the
25
plan,
years.
man. Honestly, that's the business plan. That's exactly what we're going
Love it.
after. And we've always said, you know what, systemically, we've always had a starting line a little bit lower than the next guy, but we need to make it equal at some point. So
Thank
this
you.
is what we're trying to get to make sure and ensure that everything is level for the next generation
That's
or
it.
the next people that's coming up behind us. Because once we got into this door with the licensing, our responsibility was to hold that door open for anybody else who wants to come through.
Facts.
Hey, that's how we're gonna end this. But before we end this,
Yeah.
where can they find you? How can they support? Is there an outside love round coming up where people are like, yo, I want to invest in these people? People listening to, you never know.
I hear you.
Is there something? Tell us what's next step. So where can they find you and what's coming up next in a short
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 term.
period? Yeah, short term.
I'm gonna address the funding aspect first. I think it's absolutely necessary for us to reach out to the community and see if we can reinvest as well into the community, not even just through jobs, but
100.
as well through investment. So
100.
crowdfunding might be an option.
Ooh,
that
you
might be
gotta
coming
kill
up
this
soon.
one.
So we're really excited about that. And then if you're looking to find out where we are, harvester.ca is our website. You can also go on Instagram, harvester.ca.
I'm following now. Keep going. I'm listening.
If you need me, it's Ash_Bash __, and Michael.
And for myself is Harvester HRVSTR _Mike.
Yeah.
That's my corporate or my Harvester one. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. We've been doing a lot of mentorship for a lot of people who just want to get into the industry just on our own spare time anyway. So whatever works, we're more than happy to help.
Remember, HRVSTR. We're millennials. We don't know how to spell properly.
I love this. And what's next? What's coming up next soon? Is there anything you guys want to?
Yeah, we're really excited because our product's going to be in the OCS this fall. So we're growing right now grape marmalade and our favorite hardo bread for all the Jamaicans out there. You know what I'm talking about.
Wawan, popcorn.
So hardo bread's going to be a good one coming out.
Yeah.
And we are exploring with other people in our community right now, just building products that are not in market right now. So we're going to keep it on a low, but we're moving towards different product selections. So we're
Lots of
excited about it.
surprises coming up, lots of hard work, but at the same time, I think just everybody's going to be excited for what we have coming. It's going to be changing the industry for sure.
I just want to put out there, I would love to see your products at the SQDC in Quebec. That's where I'm
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would
That's
love
the
to see you there
plan.
too.
And CBD has actually changed my life.
Oh,
Good.
I actually
about it.
I sleep like a baby.
really?
CBD, I can say, has changed my life on air. I changed my life. So the minute y'all got that CBD sleep oil,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be your biggest cheerleader in the history of your company, because I could say that it's made me sleep better. I'm a better human being because I sleep better. I
There
think
you go.
black people, that's
Amazing.
another podcast. I
Yeah.
think we are chronically sleep deprived.
Absolutely.
And
Huge.
Because systemic oppression, that's another podcast at a time. But
Yeah.
I think that CBD is godly scent in my life, and I'm
Yes.
sure other people could identify with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we had today. That's the episode, beautiful people. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much to
Thank
the
you.
CEO
Thank you.
and COO of HRVSTR, the only black-owned, fully black-owned cannabis company as far as we know. And at the Federation of African Canadian Economics, these are the projects that we love to support and explore with. So we're really looking forward to potential synergies and creating black magic, literally. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got value out of this. I really hope you took notes. I have a feeling this will be probably our most popular podcast. I'm convinced. If you took notes, good. They are the most joyful, open-minded people I've met in that industry. Right? People are super weird in that industry usually because they don't look like us. And at the end of the day, reach out to them. They give their contacts. Don't be scared. Can they reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Beautiful,
Please
beautiful,
do.
beautiful.
Please do.
So once again, this episode is possible because of facecoalition.com. Face is a historical movement that is brought to you and taught for you, by people, black visionaries across the country. We are anchored in the undubitable fact that black people, there is no economic recovery in Canada without a black economic recovery. So at the end of the day, if you or a loved one or a friend is looking for a loan of $10,000 to $250,000, including startups up to a maximum of $50,000, Face Coalition, www.facecoalition.com. Apply, register. Right now, there are 16,387 businesses registered. And by the time you listen to this podcast, because this is the second season of our Pan-Canadian tour, we will have launched our Bobby Initiative Black Business Initiative, which will map out black businesses across the country, which will also give an Uber type rating to your business. So if you are in the beauty industry and you're looking to pop out and separate yourself from the competition, you'll have an opportunity to really perform, show up and show out. If you are looking to produce your own line of Exactly. You'll be able to be mapped out across the country and you'll be able to link up directly on facecoalition.com. And last but not least, the algorithm to Bobby, by the time you listen to this episode, we believe that systemic racism is a 24-hour problem, right? And we all have about 12, 13 hours a day to work and about an hour or two to fight a 24-hour problem. We believe all black people should have a virtual assistant. Bobby will be that virtual assistant when it comes to financing. So if you've entered your profile, and by the time you listen to this, we should be at 20,000 black businesses, you will not only be mapped out, but through the algorithm, we will mine the internet for you for grants, loans in the private, municipal, provincial, and federal sector. So we'll be able to swipe left, swipe right, and apply in a matter of minutes with an automation and an auto-populating platform. So thank you for listening. We are really blessed that you are all with us. Follow HRVSTR, and remember, stay blessed, black, and highly favored. Hello.